Welcome to Illuminati Silver's Inner Sanctum, where we tell you the truth about precious metals, banking, economics and politics. Today is Wednesday the 21st of November 2018, and we're discussing the reasons why silver may never be used to support the world's currency system. Many members and subscribers have asked us why silver is not used to support the dollar, as in a silver dollar peg, especially when the US has enormous levels of debt, the stock market is in bubble territory, and property prices in many of the world's major capitals are beginning to fall. Surely silver bugs argue one day silver will be used to support the currency, even in part or in whole. Well, the same could be asked about all currencies in the world. So we shall broaden this question to ask and discuss why silver is unlikely ever to be used to support a world currency. Well, when attempting to answer this, there are some core facts one must bear in mind. 1. Silver is not recognized either as a currency nor as a support to a currency anywhere in the developed world. So a mind shift would have to occur. 2. The silver market is so tiny. Above ground silver is estimated at around 55 billion ounces. That's all of the silver ever mined and that still exists in recognizable format. In dollar terms, let's say $14 an ounce to make the maths easy, that's $770 billion for the whole world. So 3, let's take a look at how much currency exists in the world. Marketwatch did an analysis and published it a year ago, and they came up with a global figure for currency at $7.6 trillion in banknotes and coins. That's practically 10 times the amount of silver that exists above ground in dollar terms. Now let's include current or checking accounts, and that figure rises to $36.8 trillion. Then, taking into account deposit accounts as well, it rises further to $90.4 trillion. So let's stop there for a moment and take stock. The value of all above ground silver equals $770 billion, but the value of money, cash and bank accounts equals $90.4 trillion. So how can we adopt a silver-backed currency when it's so out of kilter? Well, we can hear the Mike Maloney fan club now shouting, "Revalue the price of silver, of course. If you increase the price of silver to $1,168 an ounce, voila, problem solved." They may actually shout that in a slightly different accent. Well, it isn't solved at all. Just imagine for a moment all of those items you wish to buy that contains silver. Your smartphone, your PC, your medicines, your solar panels. Just imagine even the small amounts of silver they contain going up in price nearly 100-fold. Heck, solar panel manufacturers are already looking at ways of reducing silver usage at $14 an ounce, let alone if it rose to $1,168. But it does not just stop there. We have only covered cash and bank accounts, or as bankers and economists call it, broad money. The money supply consists of much more than this. We also have to take into account global debt, which consists of the total amount of debt including households, businesses and governments. And this amounts to $215 trillion, or 325% of global GDP. In other words, 3 times greater than the world's ability to fund this debt on an annual basis. Then we have to account for the derivative market, into which many funds, including pension funds, are invested. And the amount here varies depending on whether one takes a low-end notional figure of $544 trillion or the high-end estimate of $1.2 quadrillion. Let's take the low figure. So with a derivative debt of $544 trillion, plus global debt of $215 trillion, plus broad money of $90 trillion, that's a total of $849 trillion. Let's call it $850 trillion to make the calculations easier. After all, what's a trillion between friends? Okay, divide 850 trillion by 55 billion ounces of silver, and we get $15,454 an ounce, a growth of 1,100 times than it stands today. Now just imagine what would happen to domestic prices if silver rose to $15,436 an ounce. Remember, we mentioned that the amount of above ground silver was estimated to be 55 billion ounces? Well, we also have to consider the format that this is in. It's not 55 billion ounces sitting in a bank vault or vaults. It's every ounce of silver ever mined out of the earth and takes the form of particles in medicinal applications, tiny pieces in electronic gadgetry, in artifacts worth far more than its silver content, in glass, in solar panels, in a whole range of applications. The reality is that the amount of silver that is available, probably in coin and bar form, which governments could hold as collateral against the issuance of currency, is at or around 2.5 billion ounces, most of which is held by private investors. So with only 1 billion ounces mined each year, and 60% of it used for industrial applications, where are the governments or central bankers going to get all this silver from to support their currencies? If they confiscated the 2.5 billion ounces and used that, then silver prices would have to rise to around $340,000 an ounce to support existing currencies and credit, which are increasing daily, by the way. And just imagine the logistical problem of this collection too. Now seriously, ask yourself the question, can you really see this happening? Now we haven't even covered the issue that, broadly speaking, currencies have to rise in line with a mixture of GDP and population growth. And not forgetting the application of credit for expansion and future development. So with this in mind, assuming growth of say 3% per annum, is it certain that this increase in mining can occur? And of course, finally, what then happens once supply eventually runs out? Where do we go then? Now we could go into the economic weeds here and discuss currency interrelationships, the ability to swap currencies one for another or credit instruments, etc., etc. But just at this relatively superficial analysis stage, we can see the practical impossibility of linking silver to currency. Now, of course, one could finally argue, well, okay, we accept the silver market is too small, but what about gold? Well, we shall discuss gold in our next video. Meanwhile, please do comment on this argument we have put forward, whether you agree with it or not. And if you find a loophole, then please express or reveal it. We shall be most interested to see it. Disclaimer. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.